meetings for Monday, April 21st, 2025 to order. Please stand. Thank you, Lord, for the opportunity to come together to work for the good of the city of Depot Lake. May our time and effort be fruitful for the city and everyone impacted.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Billy?
Here.
Mr. Kohler?
Here.
Mr. Pita? Here. Mayor Mika?
Here. Anyone in the audience who has something that's not on the agenda? How about staff reports now? Any questions?
In March, we checked out 1,920 items. We had 172 people attend our programs, and we had 1,020 walk through our doors in March, and then we had 165 use our computers. And it's just 4 computers.
Very good. Brian?
Good evening. March 3rd, code enforcement hired a new.
Can you check the mic? Yeah, I don't think it's working. Can you hit the button?
There we go.
Turn that volume down.
I'll step back. March 3rd, we hired a new admin for code enforcement and permitting. Her name is Yvonne Lester, and she came to us from Winter Haven School District. She's devoted many hours in the development of our new program for certificate of use registration, which is taking place of the old business tax receipt program, while also learning basic code enforcement and permitting procedures. And she is here if you want to have her say a few words.
Oh, yeah.
Last month, we had 5 cases brought to you. 4 are closed due to compliance. 1 remains open and working through the permitting and inspection process. Since the last meeting, we've had 28 new cases. 1 building permit required for a shed and a screen room. 1 building permit required for windows and doors. A building required for remodeling. 5 building permits required for fences. 5 junk and trash complaints. 1 for operation of a rooming house. 4 rooster complaints. 2 for construction signage. 1 for zoning violation operating a salvage yard and manufacturing trailers in a residential area. 1 obstructing of driveways and mailboxes. 1 illegal dumping of oil down a storm drain, which we turned over to the Polk County Sheriff's Office. 1 occupied RV, 1 construction debris at curbside, 1 high grass, weeds, and pest infestation. 1 high grass and weeds, 1 uninhabited structure with homeless camps. And that property was located in the county and turned over to Polk County Fire Enforcement. We've performed 31 lien searches, 21 fence permit plan reviews, 16 fence inspections. Permitting, we've had 3 new home permits, 8 renovation permits, 9 accessory permits, 14 re-roof permits, 2 commercial permits for accessory structures, and 21 miscellaneous trades permits. All I have. Any questions?
Do you want to hear them up about the tire collection we had the other weekend?
We did hold a tire collection on the 12th of April out here in front of City Hall. We had almost 2,000 tires with 135 recipients that came through. So a lot of those tires we're not finding on the side of the roads. So we thank Keep Polk County Beautiful for doing what she does.
Good evening. For March, we ran 231 calls for service. We arrested 47 different individuals. Of those 47 arrests, they were comprised of 90 misdemeanors and 19 felonies. 27 subjects were arrested for various traffic offenses. One subject was arrested for driving on suspended license, possession of cannabis, and possession of drug paraphernalia. 8 other subjects were arrested for possession of cannabis and possession of drug paraphernalia. One subject was arrested for DUI. 3 subjects were arrested for outstanding warrants. A juvenile was observed throwing a football at the camera in the bathrooms, knocked the camera down, and then removed the camera. We quickly identified him and arrested him and relocated the camera. He was charged with criminal mischief and petty theft. One subject was arrested for battery on a Leo, resisting with and without violence, and assault on a Leo with a deadly weapon. He came up with the guys with a knife. They were able to tase him and get him under control. One subject was arrested for possession of meth, trafficking in fentanyl, and drug paraphernalia. Another subject was arrested for possession of cannabis, possession of drug paraphernalia, resisting without, and tampering with evidence. One subject burglarized the Freedom Tour, and Bobby Williams sent me the video, and we immediately identified the subject. He's the same subject that stole our game camera a while back that we arrested. We started patrolling the area, and we found him just walking down the road, so we arrested him for burglary, felony petty theft, and he sold the stuff that he bought, so we charged him with dealing in stolen property also. One subject was charged with 3 misdemeanors for violating environmental rules associated with the oil spill in Winter Reserve that Brian talked about. I got with Bert McKee. They did the state watch. They had everybody come out and ended up getting it cleaned up really quickly. I think the guy ended up getting fired from his job too, so that should prevent any additional oil spills there. One subject was arrested and charged with leaving the scene of a crash with property damage. We've gotten a little pursuit with them, so we hit him with fleeing to elude after a crash with property damage, which is a second-degree felony. Resisting without violence, no valid DL, no motorcycle endorsement, unregistered motor vehicle, and he had weed on him and drug paraphernalia, and he threw some items off of his motorcycle too, so we charged him with illegal dumping also. Another subject was arrested for domestic violence, and we discovered there's 3 separate incidents, so we charged him with 3 counts of domestic violence. We've had several complaints about this, so we've been real heavy on traffic enforcement to ensure that they're not violating the no through trucks sign over there on Crystal Beach. I would also recommend looking into maybe get some no through trucks so they're not coming by the boat ramp, maybe right here at Sunoco and Eagle, which is going to be the county on that side, but that way we can kind of slow them down. We can tell a huge difference. They figured it out as far as speed most of the time, and we were seeing a bunch of them cut down and avoid and go down Belvedere now, but I'm seeing a lot more just bypass this all together and go down Rifle Range. Also, we have a new deputy in the city. His name's Chris Galita. Could you stand up and tell everybody a little bit about yourself? Oh, well, real quick. We did 386 traffic stops in March and just over 2,000 building checks with control notices. So, yeah. Y'all have any questions or anything? Any concerns?
I'm in agreement with you on the no-through trucks on Eagle Ave. Just to have that recently paved and brought up to decent roadway, just to have it eroded by a bunch of very heavy commercial traffic.
And they get paid by the load, so it's as fast as they can. So, matter of fact, we arrested one the other day, had a suspended driver's license, a disqualified CDL. So, you know, it's kind of amazing what you run into with those guys.
And you got the siren installed?
I did, yes, that's in there now.
Afternoon, I'm Deputy Galito. I've been with the Sheriff's Office for about 2 years now. I recently just worked out in Juanita for about 7-ish months now, still in the area of Eagle Lake. I don't have too much about me. I served in the National Guard prior to this. I was recently awarded Deputy Sheriff of the Year for the year 2024 and a Medal of Honor recipient. So I'm looking forward to serving the civilians of Eagle Lake.
Thank you for your service and welcome.
So I started paying attention and seeing guys that stood out on shift, and I found him, and it was, the lieutenant was mad because he's the best guy on the shift. I poached him off there, so I'm looking forward to see what he does for us. So,
And so, there were also some other awards that I think you and others were in receipt of.
yes.
Can you comment?
You know, I received another Medal of Valor, a Lifesaving Medal, and a Meritorious Service Medal. So one was that car crash in Pinellas County, and then the other one was a little girl that another agency got some information on it and weren't able to find her. Then they recontacted us, and we found her in like 45 minutes and arrested the parents and charged them with all kinds of stuff. But she was real bad. She ended up spending, I think, 9 or 10 days in the hospital. She was so bad. So, you know, it's just sometimes just checking those extra boxes that somebody may have overlooked, you know, sometimes. And luckily we had her in our hands in like 45 minutes. So it's nice.
And Deputy Roy and Deputy Nason as well.
Yep. They also got a Meritorious Service Medal for that same incident. So. Yep, I'm trying to load my team.
Would be remiss if we didn't recognize it. So I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
City managers report.
I just have a couple items I want to highlight from my report as we go through. The first of which is the community funding request. If you recall last month, we had talked about, we adopted a resolution in order to file a grant through Congressman Franklin's office in order to try to improve our water system. We did follow through with that and filed a $4.7 million grant. We're waiting to hear back in order to upgrade our water system to provide some good potable water for us into the future, because a lot of our equipment is dated and needs assistance with that. Second thing I want to bring up is that our impact fees, we established when a few years ago we had an impact fee of $500. We went through and did the study. Study came back and recommended a match for water of $8,500. We settled at $5,000, which we've been that way for 6 years now. But with what we're seeing with the need for water improvements, with what the water co-op is going to be charging us in the future, we're looking to, we would like permission to adopt a resolution to increase that to $8,500. That is the max that the report said that we could go to. We can go back if you wish and have them recalculate that once again, because the cost for the water cooperative now, with some of the improvements that we're looking to do, we can go back and take another look at that study in an effort to see whether we can go higher. Because as I put in there, we talked to Winter Haven when we were talking about the interconnect and all that stuff. They just went to $10,000 for impact fees for public water. We're at $5,000 now. Like I said, 8 years ago we were at $500, then we went to $5,000, and we're seeing with a lot of growth coming in, a lot of need for us to upgrade our facilities. So I'd like to see us go to that $8,500 for the impact for public water. Now with public sewer, we're right where we need to be, since we don't have a sewer plant and we send all our waste to Bartow. That's fine where it is. It's the water that we need for the upgrades.
Tom, can I jump in on that?
Yes.
Would
what you were saying real quick, and whenever it comes to that Tom's comments about possibly updating the impact fee study, I would probably recommend that we go ahead and ask Florida Rural Water to update those, because in order to meet the dual rational nexus test for the impact fees, it's supposed to be based on the most recent and localized data. And it's in 2019, it wasn't that long ago, but I think it would help in justifying and making sure that we have a solid basis for our fees to make sure that we've got
The increase
updated
in
numbers.
costs for construction and the increase in.
It's probably going to be, in all likelihood, it's probably going to be higher, but I guess the number will
Yeah, so, you know, we're looking at doing that and taking another look at that, because we're having some significant costs, as you know, constantly before you, talking about things, the projects that we're doing on the public water side, and we think that's best for us to do that.
Your motion on, sir?
Or is it just consensus?
I think the consensus is, so for Tom to ask Florida Rural Water, and they may have a proposal that he'll need to bring back for the commission to vote on.
Yeah, I think it's appropriate. Certainly understanding that the effort that it takes to maintain and build out water systems continues to rise. I think it makes sense to go back and ask. Wouldn't hurt to have an understanding of that as well as a rate study. But
Outside
they
chance
generally keep-
it could come out lower, but I think that's doubtful.
Yeah, but they're usually a pretty good litmus test of.
Yeah, and they're supposed to be the cost of actually running and operating and building the systems, or building the system actually is more accurate to say. So it's not like it's a an arbitrary, unfair number that's being imposed on folks.
So, is that acceptable? I'll go back to them. We're going to agree to update our impact fees.
I think so.
Okay. Perfect. The only other thing I want to bring up is we're entering budget season, and we got a letter from the sheriff department. They're looking at a 27% increase to the city's charge for contract, as a contract city, for the sheriff department to provide coverage for us. Looking with that 27% increase, we're up to about $912,000 and change. So as we start budgeting, for that, that's a big increase that we need to accommodate for. I know when JR was here, he was concerned about the rising costs at that time. And JR was the ex-police chief when he was here originally, and he passed away a number of years ago. But what I'd like to do is, with getting close to $1 million from the city to the sheriff department, whether or not it'd be beneficial for us to look at, to see whether we want to start our own police department again, which I think would be a clear time. Since we're growing, we have additional funding coming in from the growth that we're experiencing to be able to accommodate our residents and maybe be beneficial to ourselves to have a department within the city, because we are, we'll probably, if we do look at it, the startup cost will be more than this $912,000 that we're talking about, but most of that's going to be within hard costs, buying cars, buying uniforms, that's the bulk of the cost that we'll be looking at. The startup, not to mention manpower. So I get some information that we should talk to other cities about looking into the cost and then coming back to you probably around the June meeting. Because the May meeting's in 2 weeks. It's impossible to pull that together that quickly. But, come back with some costs to see what the best direction is for the city. And that'd be up to you. That'd be a consensus for that as well, if that's okay.
Yeah, I also noted that they're moving from a 5-year contract to a 1-year contract, which makes it a little bit harder to lock in some of that pricing. So.
Yeah, and I get it. When we did the 4-year one a few years ago, it went up maybe 1-2% per year, but then it hit us at 27% all at once. It's just a big hit. And if it's a 1-year contract, what are they going to hit with next year? Yeah, worst case, I come back and I say, oh, it's $2 million, and you guys say no. Or it's $1 million, and you say yes. So give us an opportunity just to take a look at it, and then come back to you with numbers, and then we can decide moving forward what we're going to do.
Item C, Consideration of the appointment of Tiffany Crawford to the Planning Commission. She's moving from an alternate spot to a full member spot.
Make a motion to approve Tiffany Crawford, Planning Commission.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Consideration of appointment of Mark Erickson to the Planning Commission as a alternate. Right now, he's on the commission. I'll entertain a motion and a second for that.
Make a motion to approve the appointment of Mark Erickson to the Planning Commission as an alternate.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'm abstaining from this vote because he's not on
And you have filled the form out or withdrawn?
Yes.
Okay.
Consideration of the appointment of Ferdinand Oliveria to the CRA board, joining the remaining seat, number 7, which expires in May of 2026. I'll entertain a motion in a second for that.
Make a motion to appoint Brenda Oliveria. Did I get it right? Just trying to make sure I got it right. I didn't want to butcher it. To the CRA board.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I just wanted to know, this will be contingent upon her passing her background test.
Okay.
Presentation.
Hello, everyone. I'm Julie Davis. I'm a shareholder of the Rivera Mortimer Company, and I'm excited to go over the results of your fiscal year 2024 independent audit. I believe handed out to you all was a summary presentation, nice little bound copy. That is just a summary of the audit results that were included in the agenda package, which was the full audit results, as well as our communication letter. First and foremost, I do want to thank the entire team here at the city, Patty, Mike, Dawn, everybody here. It takes a lot of hard work and effort on top of their normal day-to-day duties to be able to provide us everything we need to get through the audit process on time and on schedule. And so again, thank them for all of their hard work. Starting off on the first page of the presentation is a summary again of the audit results. First and foremost is our opinion on your financial statements. And we have issued an unmodified or a clean opinion on your financial statements, which means anybody who needs to rely upon them can do so to make an informed decision. We had no disagreements with management over any accounting matters or any other items to report to you all today. Our audit is conducted under generally accepted auditing standards, where our objective is to provide reasonable but not absolute assurance that your financial statements are free of material misstatement. And all that means is that we don't look at every single transaction that flows through the city. As you know, you have a pretty robust team here that gets through all of those transactions, as well as your outsourced accountant. So we have a pretty robust team sitting alongside your team. I know we enjoy working well together, but I'm sure they don't want to see us every day. So our standards allow us to use a risk-based model, sampling, and materiality throughout the audit process to be able to determine the extent of our procedures. Moving on to the next page, our responsibilities are further under government auditing standards, and this is really where we look at the city's compliance with laws, rules, regulations, contracts, grant agreements, all of those compliance-related matters. And please report that was also a clean opinion and no compliance findings this year. We do look at internal accounting controls to the extent necessary to render our opinion on your financial statements. We typically test the disbursements and payroll process. We look at utility billing and cash receipts process. We always look at segregation of duties, financial reporting, some of those key internal control areas. And then please report we had no material weaknesses noted or any other matters of internal control to report to you all today as well. So going over a highlight of the numbers, starting on the next page, we're going to start off on the governmental activity side, which is the general fund, the CRA fund, kind of those general government activities. So total assets this year were up about $3.3 million. They ended at $13.4 million for the year. This was all mainly in cash and cash equivalents, and as well as restricted cash, which is a result of operations. There were some minor changes in the interfund activity that was just due to timing of when those interfund transactions occurred. occurred, as well as some capital asset activity this year. There's about $737,000 of capital asset additions, which included the new playground equipment, road resurfacing, as well as city hall design work. That was offset by about $137,000 of depreciation expense for the year. Moving to the next page is the other side of the balance sheet, the liabilities and net position. Total liabilities this year were up about $225,000. You'll notice it's all on that first line item, that accounts payable and accrued expenses. That was actually just due to timing. There was some refund of permit fees, and again, they were requested prior to year and they're paid just right after year end, so it was just a timing of when those were occurring. Deferred inflows you'll see in the middle of the page there, those are down slightly. Those are related to leases and lease receivables, so that's money coming into the city. As those payments are received, these deferred inflows or deferred revenues, if you think about it, is going to go down. And overall, your total net position or equity over on the governmental activities side, we're up about $3.1 million for the year. They're about $12.5 million. There were increases across the board. We already touched on those net investment and capital asset activities. You'll see the restricted assets are up about $1.2 million. That's mainly impact fees, and then your unrestricted, which is a result of operations, increased about $1.3 million for the year. Moving on to the next page is a highlight of the income statement, or in the governmental statement of revenue and expenses. Total revenues are up about $535,000. They were about $6.2 million for the year. Overall, there's some small swings when you look at the individual line items, but I think you'll notice when you're looking at the presentation, the largest change is in the taxes that you all received this year. That was mainly in all the ad valorem taxes. It was an increase of about $758,000, and that was all mainly due to population growth within the city. Moving down, looking at the expenses, total expenses increased about $391,000 this year. There was some increase in general government activities, about $289,000. There's some engineering services as well as capital outlay and payroll costs that increased this year. Library costs increased as well, and that was a result of payroll. And then law enforcement was up about $118,000, which is mainly your contract of the sheriff's office. So overall, your change in net position or the net income of the governmental activities were about $3.1 million this year once we had all those changes. So now if we move over to the other side of the city, which is the business type activities, we'll start off on the balance sheet again. And so total assets on the business type activities were about $27.2 million this year. It was just over a $7 million increase from last year. The largest changes, there's about $6 million increase in cash, of which about 4.5 of that was restricted for the water and sewer impact fees that you all collected. There's an increase in intergovernmental receivables, and that was a capital grant that you all have coming in for the city. And then capital asset activity also increased this year. There's about $828,000 of additions, which is a stormwater project as well as system expansions, and that was offset by about $380,000 of depreciation for the year. Moving on to the next page, the liabilities and net position. Total liabilities are consistent year over year, around $1.5 million. When we really dove into it, a lot of the changes were just due to timing of those payables at the end of the year. You will see probably the largest change in the payables is on customer deposits. Again, this was an increase of about 117 and new customers coming in, new residents of the city. So as you all are continuing to build, these houses are coming online, these things are just continuing to increase over time. So overall, total net position increased about $7 million. The majority of that, about $4.4 million, is restricted in regards to those impact fees, and about $2 million was considered unrestricted and available for management, available for your choice of use. And then finally, on the last page is a statement of revenue and expenses for the business type activities. Overall, total revenues were up about $655,000 this year, so they totaled about $9.7 million. You'll see there's two line items up there. One is charges for services, that's your usage fees and what you bill the citizens for usage of the system. That increased to almost just under $1 million, or about 24% this year. So a big jump there when we were looking at the revenues. There was about 1% rates. The rest of it was strictly usage and new customers. There was over a 30% usage increase in the number of billings when we look at September to September. There's almost a 30% increase in just the quantity of bills that were issued each year. The next line item you'll see is capital grants and contributions. About $4.2 million of that is impact fees, with the remainder of that being capital grants that are coming from outside agencies that are helping to fund the capital operations of the city. Moving down, total expenses increased about $403,000 this year. They were about $2.5 million for the year. And as you notice, there's some increases kind of across the board. So overall water utility, it was up about $258,000. That was mainly due to the payments to the Polk Regional Water Co-op, as well as engineering fees. And then the sanitation expenses, there's also an increase as a result of your contract negotiations that you all met. And overall, your operating income was up about $252,000 or 4% year over year, which was $7.2 million of operating income for the year. And overall, again, leading that into, a portion of that is restricted, so just keep in mind, as I know it sounds like a big number, a big piece of that is restricted, and you have to use it for those specific purposes, which is shown on the balance sheet. And overall, that's all I had from a presentation standpoint. I do just want to touch on, it's kind of not in the presentation, but when we were looking at things, I did provide management a recommendation. It's not a audit recommendation, but one of the things that the Florida Auditor General does have us look at is just general operational improvements as well. And so when we were looking at the large cash on hand at the end of the year, it's continuing to grow. You all are going to continue to grow. We recommended to management to look at maybe putting it into some higher interest earning accounts. The Florida state statute allows you all to invest in U.S. Treasury, Florida Prime, or other kind of local government co-op type of investment funds without having a formal investment policy. So those are some things that are easy to do, that are relatively low risk. Some of our other governments are earning upwards of 5% on their cash by moving excess cash over there. And so when you're looking at the amount of cash on hand, those are some big numbers that might be able to fund some future projects for you all. So that was my only recommendation from the audit process, especially as you're going into budget season, something to consider. But I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Questions from the commission?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very much.
Next is the presentation of trending analysis. Mike got a hold of us and said that he had a scheduling conflict for tonight, and this will be on the agenda next month. Item H is a proclamation. Now, therefore, it be resolved by the virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of the city of Eagle Lake, hereby proclaim the month of April as April Water Conservation Month. Public hearings, consideration of the second reading of ordinance number O-25-02, number 30.
Yes, Mayor, this is the second reading of ordinance number O-25-02. This is an ordinance amending the City of Eagle Lake, Florida 2030 Comprehensive Plan by revising the future land use map series to assign commercial transitional future land use to 2 annexed parcels, amending the City of Eagle Lake, Florida zoning map to apply planned development, commercial PDC zoning to the same certain parcels, repealing all ordinances in conflict herewith and providing an effective date. The general location, 2 parcels of land totaling approximately 5.0 acres in size, lying east of Gerber Dairy Road and north of Thomas Road, with a street address of 0 Thomas Road and 1409 Thomas Road, Winter Haven, Florida 33880, commonly known as the Thomas property. That's it, Mayor.
Entertained motion in a second.
Make a motion to approve ordinance O-25-02.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Oh, public.
Sorry. Any comments from
Good evening, Commissioners. Sarah Case with Next Level Planning and Permitting. My address is 3825 South Florida Avenue, and that is in Lakeland. I'm here representing the project tonight, the property owners are with me. This is our 3rd and final hearing. We annexed the property. It was official in April of last year. We began this process about a year and a half ago. I believe we submitted in December of 23. So we know that most of you are very familiar with this, and the seafood, the fish house has been in operation since the 40s. So with it being annexed, it is your duty to assign it a land use and zoning. We've opted for a commercial planned development, which is strictly a binding site plan that we have to operate with under and with the permission of this. That is the zoning category that we've applied, And if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them for you, and I would appreciate your vote on approval this evening.
Roll call.
Mr. Fuller.
Yes.
Mr. Billings.
Yes.
Mr. Peta. No. Mayor Lethal.
Yes. Continue on, consideration of second reading of ordinance 5-04. Madam Chairman.
Mayor, this is the second reading of ordinance O-25-04, an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of Eagle Lake, Florida, creating a new Chapter 8, Business and Business Regulations, Article 1, Certificate of Use Program, establishing definitions, requirements, application, terms, renewal, other certificates, required reviews, inspections, fees, and penalties, failure to obtain certificate of use, denial and revocation and enforcement, repealing all ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for codification, providing for severability, and providing an effective date. That's it, Mayor, and there will be a sister resolution setting the actual fees, to set the actual fees that will come before you on May 2nd.
Make a motion to approve ordinance number O-25-04.
Second.
I'm appreciative of the effort that Brian and his team and city staff put in on getting this back in front of us. The only question I did have on it was, is there any difference or any, just reading back through anything, because I know we used to have like the transient business license stuff for like when the fair came through. Do they just have to apply for this?
I don't think that's covered on this as a transient. This is actual locations in the city, so the transient, we do, I think, as far as I know, we still have some kind of permit for transient
We still have
business.
a special use permit for them for a short period of time. Although we no longer have any when the fair comes, so.
Yeah, if they had a fixed location in town, then they would be required to follow do this certificate of use program.
That's all I have.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Fuller.
Yes.
Mr. Peta.
Yes.
Mr. Billings.
Yes.
Mayor Lethal.
Yes. Old business, Tom?
We have one request. We have one under the old business. It's a consideration of the standard form of agreement between the owner and construction manager as constructor, Murata Construction. The city attorney and I spoke today. We still have some questions on this agreement, and we'd like to table once again, bring it back to the official meeting.
Make a motion to table.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? New business, the administration of bill Steve Williams for C2 and Corey Fuller for C4.
Oh, yeah, that way you cover
It's too honored.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will defend and support the Constitution of the United States of America and the state of Florida and uphold the laws thereof and the ordinances of the city of Eagle Lake, Florida, and faithfully perform the duties of commissioner of said city, so help you God?
We'll entertain a second.
Second.
Motion and second.
Say that one more time, please.
Corey for the name. Second.
Yes, I said second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Congratulations.
Thanks, sir. I guess that means you want me to work now.
Yes.
Okay.
Him gavel.
Not yet, not yet. All right. Item C is election of vice mayor.
I'll make a motion for Steve to be the vice mayor. This Steve. You've got two on the guard.
Second that. Motion second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Motion carries. Item D is selection of a member and an alternate member for the Polk Regional Water Cooperative. Everybody raise their hands at once.
Can you explain what it is?
So there is, in the greater Polk County area, the Southwest Florida Water Management District and the county and most of the municipalities are working towards a cooperative of an alternative water source to shore some of the supply. So a good portion of it is attending as a voting member or alternate member to the Polk Regional Cooperative meetings that are held. It's in Auburndale, but it's what, like every other month?
Every other month, yeah. No, it's during the day, at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
I'll apply for that.
And Randy was the other member, do that as well, so.
So make a motion.
No objection.
Oh, you can pick one, you can have that.
Well, there's a member seat and an alternate seat, so if the
Yeah,
member
there's
can't.
got two seats, I mean,
Yeah, Randy can't make it, then you're up.
right. So we,
We're
have to
right- we're
pick
right.
one, you know what I mean? So there's a lot of times I can't.
You have a motion on that one?
Yes.
So Randy's primary and Rose is secondary, they're alternate second. my understanding.
Okay, so I have Randy Billings as the member and the alternate would be Steve Williams.
Yeah.
Yeah, I-
You,
Yes, sir.
And I will need a motion.
So moved. Second.
Second.
Motion and second. Any additional discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item E is consideration of the appointment of commissioners as representatives to the TPO board, the Ridge League of Cities board member, and the Sports Association liaison. Like to stay on the Ridge board?
I would also like to do the Ridge League one. I was sports liaison, and I'd like to switch to Ridge League.
I don't like sports.
So how do we hash it out?
I don't want to hash it.
So we'll start with
Let's do the easiest. So I'll make a motion for Steve to the TPO, Steve Mitosh, I'll have to fix that. Steve Mitosh to TPO and Steve Williams to the Sports Association. Have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right. Then for whatever on Ridge League, the only piece that I have is that I've spoken with Bobby Green about serving as treasurer after the complete up the former path. But I'm open to whatever.
So I've gone to every one of the dinner meetings in the past year, and you just got sworn in as mayor, so I think I'll have you do the Ridge League when I've done the training, and I've done every month of all of the meeting dinners in all the cities that they've held. I'm not showing that I'm invested in that.
1 year left on my term, and you just started 2 years. So this would just be for the year.
You're not coming back.
Well, I don't know what the Lord has right now, and I'm going to say I have 1 year, and so who knows, there'll be a big election by then. Who knows?
That's your seat down there.
I'll make a motion for Commissioner Tito for the,
Ridgely?
yeah, Ridgely.
I'll second it.
There you go.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Item G. Hang on, sorry, I skipped one. Item F, consideration of resolution number R-25-13.
Oh dear, please wait for me because I am going to scroll a little ways down here, if you don't mind. Oh, I got it. Okay. Okay, Mayor, this is Resolution R-25-13. This is a resolution of the City of Eagle Lake, Florida, approving affidavit regarding the Eagle Lake Comprehensive Plan, authorizing mayor as signer, and providing an effective date. My apology. That's it, Mayor. My apologies. When I had drawn this up, I did put Steve Mitosh as mayor, not realizing it would be under new business, which only made sense, but we can change that. And that's it.
Have a motion and a second. Discussion for the audience. Commission.
So this is going to be like during the hurricane where it was the mayor was the signer for things that are an emergency. So this is going to be making this full time. Oh no, Commissioner Peter. This is an affidavit. We are required by Chapter 163 of the Florida statutes to certify, either perform, basically shore up the city's comprehensive plan to make sure that it is up to date with any with current changes in the law, that has been that it covers a 10-year period as required by law, and it has been looked into, and those requirements are met. And the statute requires there to be an affidavit of the mayor to satisfy that, so we can send that on to the state. So this resolution is simply authorizing the mayor to sign that affidavit on behalf of the city, so we can comply with the. It is a new requirement of Florida law. It just came about. So this is the first time we've done it. But thank you for the question. That was a good question.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Now, item G, consideration of the interlocal agreement for the interconnection of potable water between the city of Winter Haven, Florida, and the city of Eagle Lake, Florida.
This is an interlocal agreement between the two cities. We did an emergency connection with Winter Haven. It is in place. This goes back to, I believe, 2004, when Winter Haven and the city of Eagle Lake got together and we talked about this emergency interconnect. Winter Haven dug the hole, we bought the pump. And we get 200,000 gallons of water, emergency. If there's an emergency that goes on, our wells go dry, if something happens, we can turn that down, and then we've got water from Winter Haven that we can use for the city. This is for emergency only. I know we talked about when we take the water tower offline and we can install our new pumps. We're gonna use this water from Winter Haven. They are looking at only charging us, I think it's like $4.01 per 1,000 gallons. So for 200,000, that math is right, we're probably looking at $800. So it's
vice versa too, though.
right. Yes, they can take water from us.
It's subject to being looked at first. Yeah, we gotta make it,
This is the same agreement they have with City of Lake Hamilton, and also with the county.
Yeah, it's just try it all.
Yeah.
I make a motion to approve the interlocal agreement.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Discussion from the audience. Commission. Need a roll call on that one, or just all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Item 10 is the consent agenda. Item A is the approval of regular city commission meeting minutes for March 3rd, 2025.
I made a motion.
Motion and a second. Any additional discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Item B is approval of the financials.
I'll make that a motion.
Have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Item C, approval of the bad debt list in the amount of $1,065.03.
I'll make that a motion.
Motion and second. Any additional discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? City Attorney.
I just wanted to say welcome to new Commissioner Williams, and also re-welcome to Mayor Kohler and Commissioner Williams. Will be keeping you plenty busy. And also Mayor Kohler, you guys will be keeping you pretty busy. And also welcome to Yvonne, and I wanted to say thank you to Yvonne for all of her hard work on the, and Brian's on the certificate of use program, because that was the paperwork that they submitted to me. It was no small undertaking, and they did a very nice job there, in my opinion. And Dawn and I will have some update ordinances to you that we discussed at the last meeting, and we probably won't have them on the May 2nd meeting because it's such a quick turnaround between now and then. So we'll have you the first week on June for that, and look forward to it's going to be a busy couple of weeks. So we'll see how we go. If you have any questions for me, please let me know.
Thank you. City Commission. Sharita.
I have a couple things. I'm just wanting to touch base, the city manager, about the basketball court resurfacing.
That's something we're looking into. We're working on it with the engineer to get that repaired.
Okay, that was approved, so that's definitely
Yes.
going to be, okay.
That's something we're looking into.
Okay.
Is
And
there,
then-
is there any economy of scale with the roof paving? Is that the same company?
We might be able to look into that and see if we can roll that in.
I just,
Yeah,
with
that does make sense.
mobilization of equipment.
Yeah, that does make perfect sense.
have you heard back from the county? I know they approved the request for the sidewalk going down the back entrance of Lake Region for this year. I'm just wondering if they've said anything about a specific date for that sidewalk to be installed.
They have not contacted us about that at all.
Okay, so just at some point this year.
Yeah, I can reach out with them to them
If you
and see what the status of that is.
Is that what J.J.
'Cause I know, yeah, because I know it was scheduled before, but they couldn't get the proper right away.
Right.
We'll find out where.
But they approved it within the budget this year, so I'm
We'll see
excited
where-
about that, so I'm
we'll
just
see where it
wondering.
says.
Okay, also, what's going on with Domino's? I know that they were supposed to come in, pizza.
Yes, Brian and I are going to, or in the process, we've had several people questioning that. We're going to get a hold of them.
That same corner, that's still
Yes.
going there?
Yes.
Okay, and I'm just wondering, I know this wouldn't be a city thing, but I know you would be the person to do this. Are we able to get the stop signs that are completely faded in the city replaced and updated?
Yes, we can do that. We just have to get a hold of Public Works and they can work that into their schedule.
Okay, and my last item is, I'm just wondering, because I've only been doing commission for a year, for the 8 years you've been here, has there ever been a consideration for annexing closer into Bartow, the unincorporated area, so that we have space to be able to put shopping plazas and more things for the citizens?
No, we have not looked into forced annexation. We have not looked into that. Everything that we've gotten so far is all been voluntary.
Okay, so that might be something I want to consider, especially with all the residents that are moving in, being able to have more space, and there's a lot of unincorporated land by 17 all the way down towards the actual Bartow line.
We have the one annexing now, don't we?
Yes, that's Gordon property. And that's going to be an agricultural supply business. That's what I've heard. And that's scheduled for the May 5th meeting, but that's up in the air now because we're trying to figure out the appropriate zoning for it because it's going to be warehousing with the general commercial right now. So we're trying to work our way through that and see what's the best zoning for them. And I did bring up the water bill too when I talked to the attorney. So he thanked me for it.
And then I know you've had a couple that have fielded interest heading back up towards Winter Haven as well,
Yes,
right?
yes. From Racetrack up, I've talked to that property owner about commercial development there as well. 7-Eleven is still moving forward. the biggest, their delay right now is they were right in off of 17, and they need a state permit for that. And that's the one thing that's holding them up. That pays for the demo permit. The demo two things that's holding them up. And then they get started on that.
Yes, sir. If you'll state your name and address for the record.
Yeah, Josh Macon, 459 3rd Street North. That's in Eagle Lake, Florida.
Is it?
It is. We have an update on road construction as far as flood.
There's no, in terms of the detention area we talked
I
about.
thought everything was agreed on.
No, it is, but we have to go through, get a permit through Swift Mud in order to expand the existing retention pond that's out there. And I just signed that application last week, and it's being sent off to them, and then we do the survey and the design to start.
We're right in hurricane season.
I understand that, but we're moving as fast as we can, but it takes time.
Okay. All right, thank you for your response back.
No problem. Thanks, Josh.
I have two questions, and I think it was in your, in the city manager's notes, it says we're looking at the Earl Wright property next door over here for negotiations.
Yes.
Wouldn't we be better off to trade him those 4 lots we own 17 that's on his property over there now?
Which 4 lots?
The property he owns over on 17
Yes.
there. The city owns 4 lots in that same section there. Who's going to need to sell that?
You have property there?
We have a portion of the right of way. Yeah, the side that's back towards 4th Street. Yeah.
Yeah, on 17, we own 4. The city owns 4 lots.
Yeah, what he's looking for, his daughter and her boyfriend, his daughter and her boyfriend live there now. He's looking to sell that property to the city, and then they're going to relocate to a different property.
Right, I'm just saying the 4 lots on 17 are worth a whole lot more money than that.
Yeah,
So instead of buying them, why don't we trade it?
I can run that by him. He did call me today to find out what was going on. So I will reach out to him and see whether there's an interest.
Okay. And then my second question was our CRA. I saw in the budget, we've got like over $300,000 in CRA, but I don't see anything going on 17 in the CRA. How do we reach, like Winter Haven does, you spend $5,000, we reimburse you. But I just don't see anything going on with that money.
Yeah, we have some grants that we applied for people to do the facade grants. We just gave one to
Castles.
Yes,
We just approved one for
Castles on the road. But other than that, we have not done much with it.
I think we were looking to increase the max that we would permit on any given grant.
Right.
Just recognizing, like everything else, the costs have gone up. But we have had several businesses that are taking advantage of it.
Yeah, I just didn't know how we advertise it, because my property is in a CRA. I didn't know we had a CRA when I bought that property, so I don't think that most of them know a lot about it.
I had asked Tom if he wants to go during the meeting, if he could go to the businesses and let them know, educate them on it, and encourage them to do that.
Yes, and I know all the business owners around there. I have reached out to them over.
Did you do it?
Yes.
We'll continue to work at it. I mean, it's the other challenges right now, CRAs are under a lot of attack under what we can spend money on. There's a bill that's running through right now that they're looking at, like, you can't have any sponsorship of stuff from a CRA. It's like, yeah, how do you get the word out that you have things that are available, programs that are there? So I know I sent strong opposition to the legislative team that was working on it. It's at the committee. I think there's a upcoming vote.
It was this afternoon.
It was this afternoon. Okay, I knew it was pretty close, but I haven't seen what the outcome of that was.
I haven't either.
So we'll continue to pursue opportunities to try and make sure folks are aware of it. All good? You're good? Yes, sir. Pretty much. Thanks, sir. Thanks, sir. Well, y'all are all done? I'll keep mine brief. The only couple of things, I know the speed signs that FDOT installed, there's some of them that work and some of them that don't. If we can
The ones that say 25 miles per hour overhead, that kind of thing?
Well, this one out here is working, but like the one,
The county just fixed that the other week.
yeah, the one that's out over by the shed place.
They blink out every now and then.
Yeah, that one's not working, if we can reach out to the state on that one. And then, given the increase, just in general, of traffic that's on 10th and coming up and down that kind of stretch, do we have any options where we can look at making that light work all the time? Because there's some number of people that get surprised by it when it does work, and then blow through it when it is working, thinking that it's just a flasher.
You mean Lake Region?
Lake Region.
Yeah, Lake Region.
Yeah, we're
At the post office.
at the post
Yeah.
office. Yeah.
I know
I'm starting to see
that.
a number of cars that are queued up, waiting to try and get across that intersection.
Is it like 11 at night or something like that?
And then weekends, we go some flashing weekends.
It's because there's two schools down there, near the elementary school and Lake Region, so it's probably up with the hours of school.
I think that's a predominant reason that it's there, but also recognize that the traffic's increased through that stretch if there's.
And one thing, that was part of the reason to put it there.
And I think with the townhouses that are going in and 7-Eleven going in, it's pretty warranted that.
Yeah, Eagle Pines is back there, you've got the other roadway that's gonna be coming through, and I expect there's probably a number of people that'll be coming off of it.
I will reach out to the county.
It's at least worth asking, just to find out, because, to Sergeant's point, traffic still continues to be.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be bad, so we gonna need more cars.
Yeah, trying to be judicious about what those are and how.
It probably needs to go online.
The manager report, but was appreciative for the efforts of staff and all of our sponsors for the Spring Fest. I thought that went off great.
That was
a lot of
2025, not 2023.
20
My fat figures.
2025, not 2023, but yeah, no, I thought that was very well attended. There were a lot of people that were out there. I also know Dawn represented us at the March League of Cities, Ridge League of Cities event, giving some support for a bill that was going through for her fellow clerks and new clerks across the state. So I thought that was well received. And then Commissioner Pita, the city manager, and myself also had the opportunity to join down in Arcadia, where they had a really good program, really good food. I thought it was a really good event. And so we'll have that. I also had communication from Bobby Green that we have a vocational scholarship winner from Lake Region. So we'll at least have one person that's on senior awards night to get some recognition, possibly two, because there's another Lake Region student that's in the running for one of the scholastic scholarships. So I thought that was a really good thing as well, making sure that they're tied in with those events and that we're in. We also will have representation for the graduation picture ceremony. So
Also, to say locally about Lake Region, because it's the only high school that's in the city, the athlete of the year is Judson, and he's from Lake Region, so he'll be honored in June. Also, is an amazing soccer player.
awesome. One last time, if there's anyone in the audience that has anything else to discuss that is on the agenda. Seeing none, entertain a motion to adjourn. A motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye.